My child, stop right there. You're spiraling, and it's becoming deafening in your soul. I see it. I feel the panic rising in you like crashing waves, louder than my whisper, drowning out every word I've been trying to say. This is not just anxiety, it's a war inside your thoughts, and it's trying to silence the sound of my presence. The more you replay what could go wrong, the more you tune me out, and I can't stand to see you this way any longer. This is urgent. You're letting your inner storm decide how you walk, how you breathe, and how you believe, and it's stealing your strength before the blessing even arrives. You keep thinking if you can solve everything in your head, then you'll find peace, but that's not how this works. I never asked you to be your own rescue plan. You were never meant to figure it all out alone. You keep asking me where I am while your mind runs wild like a storm with no anchor. But I haven't left, I've been right here, waiting for you to be still long enough to hear me again. That noise in your mind, it's not from me. That constant second guessing, that endless planning, that deep dread sitting in your chest, that is not my spirit. You are under attack in your mind, and I need you to fight back by resting in me. Calm down, not because everything is solved yet, but because I'm still God. Breathe again, not because the chaos disappeared, but because I am with you in it. You are not losing control, you are being invited to surrender it. I can't fill a soul that is already full of fear. I can't comfort a heart that keeps shouting over my peace. So stop letting the storm inside you scream louder than the promise over you. You're not alone, and you're not going to drown. I speak peace to this storm in your thoughts. I command stillness over this panic. You don't need to know how it will all work out, you just need to know that I will. Don't let fear keep playing the loudest voice in your life. Turn down the volume of your what-ifs, and turn your face toward me. I am still here, still speaking, still stronger than what scares you. But you must choose silence on the inside. You must push pause on the chaos and lean in again. This moment is urgent because what's coming is too important to let fear ruin it. The door is opening soon. The answer is on the way. But if you let the noise control you now, you will miss what I've already released for you. Calm down, not because the world calms, but because your Savior has spoken. I am here. You've been pacing through life like you're behind, like you missed your moment, as if heaven moved without you, but listen closely. Child, that is a lie. Worry has wrapped itself around your identity and whispered false timelines into your spirit. But I'm interrupting that deception now. You're not late to anything I've written for you. You're exactly where you need to be for what I'm about to release. The voices in your mind have been convincing you that others are ahead, that you've fallen short, that you've wasted too much time, but those voices do not speak for me. I don't operate on human clocks. I'm not comparing your life to anyone else's journey. I'm not calculating your worth by your speed or your success. I chose you long before the delays, and I've scheduled your breakthrough with precision. This moment isn't about being early or late, it's about being prepared. And even now, I'm shaping something in you that you'll need where I'm taking you. Don't let worry dictate your destiny. It wasn't invited to this conversation. I didn't place your miracle in someone else's hands. I didn't forget what you prayed. I didn't ignore the tears you thought went unnoticed. Your name is still written on the blessing. Your purpose hasn't expired. The enemy wants you to panic, to feel disqualified, to believe that you were passed over, but I am the one who promotes in private, and I've been watching your faith grow in secret places. You've been sowing seeds no one else saw. You've been faithful when it felt pointless. You stayed when leaving was easier. And now, heaven is responding. So I tell you with urgency, don't let the illusion of delay rob you of the joy of expectancy. Don't mourn a moment that hasn't even ended. You are not behind, you're being aligned. Worry hath been showing you false finish lines and toxic comparisons to distract you from the truth. You are seen. You are chosen. And you are on schedule. There are divine doors opening soon that have your name engraved on them, and they will not open for anyone else. What's yours cannot be stolen. What I designed for your hands will not fit in anyone else's. So stop panicking about where you are. Stop questioning if it's too late. My timing is not your enemy, it's your protection. I delayed some things because you would have settled for less if I gave them too soon. I held back what you begged for because I wanted better for you than you knew to ask. So instead of worrying, worship. Instead of comparing, prepare. This is not the end. This is not the closing chapter. This is the moment just before everything shifts. And I promise you what I have for you is coming right on time. Just hold your position. Don't walk away. Don't give up. And above all, don't believe the lie that I've forgotten you. I carved your name into this miracle before you ever needed it. Your delay is not denial, it's a setup for something greater than your imagination dared to picture. You keep reaching for control like it's your lifeline, clinging to the illusion that if you manage every detail, nothing will fall apart, but I've already moved into the places you're afraid to trust me with. Child, I've stepped into rooms you haven't entered, opened doors you don't yet see, and silenced threats you didn't even know were forming against you. While you've been staying up late crafting backup plans and predicting outcomes, I've been building a path where no chaos can reach you. Why do you still carry this exhausting burden to solve everything? I didn't call you to fix the future, I called you to follow me into it. Every time you reach for control, you're pulling away from my promise. Every time you try to manage what's beyond your reach, you shrink the space where my power could have moved. I don't need you to arrange what I've already perfected. I need your hands off what isn't your assignment. This is serious because the blessing I've placed ahead of you is not for the version of you that's clinging to fear-based control. It's for the version of you that has surrendered, trusted, and let me be God without interruption. You're not the architect of your destiny, I am. And I've placed every beam, every brick, every moment, with a purpose you'll only understand once you let go. You're trying to write instructions for a future I've already finished. This obsession with predicting every outcome is not wisdom, it's warfare. It's the enemy making you believe you'll only be safe if you're the one who writes the script. But here's the truth. What's mine cannot be mismanaged by you unless you refuse to let me carry it. You're not behind. You're not abandoned. But you are exhausted from trying to sit in a seat that belongs to me. I have already stepped ahead of your decision. I've already laid the answers around the corner of the question you haven't even asked yet. I've scheduled divine moments on dates you haven't even lived through. I'm not reacting to your circumstances, I'm reigning over them. And the longer you fight for control, the longer you delay the release of what's waiting. Hear me, you're praying for miracles while holding tightly to methods. You're asking for new outcomes while walking in old behaviors. And I can't bless what you won't place in my hands. This is your wake-up call. This is your moment to stop playing God in your own life, and let me show you what real freedom looks like. You can't create peace through pressure. You can't earn your way into alignment. All of this striving, all of this micromanaging, it's only building walls around the blessing that's trying to reach you. I've already walked into your tomorrow and removed what would have hurt you. I've already cleared the space for your healing to unfold. But now I'm asking you, no. I'm warning you, release your grip. Stop controlling what I've already commanded to obey me. This next season requires surrender, not strategies. Trust doesn't mean you have all the facts. It means you believe I am faithful even when the map is missing. So, my child, step back. Step aside. Let me do what only I can do, before you interfere with a masterpiece designed to rescue you from everything you feared. Your only job right now is to breathe, follow, and believe, not manipulate the outcome, not rush the timeline, not rearrange what's already divinely positioned. Let me lead. Let me finish. I've gone ahead of you, and I've made a way you could never build on your own. Stop tormenting yourself with possibilities that will never touch you. You're nurturing shadows and feeding threats that have no authority over what I've sealed. What you keep imagining, those worst-case endings, those tragic turns, those painful what-ifs, they are illusions sent to paralyze your faith. I've seen how many hours you've lost to rehearsing danger. I've watched you shrink your faith to fit your fears. But hear me now, That disaster you secretly expect isn't on its way. That closed door you think is a curse isn't even written into your story. You are not under attack from reality, you are under attack from imagination manipulated by fear. That's how the enemy works. He can't undo my plans, so he aims to disrupt your belief in them. He knows he can't cancel what I've ordained, but if he can get you to agree with the lie, you'll forfeit your peace before the promise even arrives. Don't you see? Every moment you meditate on dread, you're surrendering territory in your mind that belongs to me. You're giving room to fear to sit where faith was meant to rest. You're handing your future over to voices that don't have the authority to speak about it. This ends now. I'm cutting the cord between you and that false prediction. I'm breaking the cycle of panic that said you bracing for a storm I never sent. Stop assuming the worst just because you can't see the full picture yet. My silence is not an indication of danger, it's often the pause before deliverance. I'm not hiding bad news from you, I'm protecting good things while they take form. But you're letting your thoughts drift into dark places that I've already shut off from your path. That failure, that rejection, that betrayal you're bracing for, it's not arriving. But if you keep focusing on it, you'll miss what is. You'll miss the peace I'm offering now. You'll miss the hope rising inside your season. You'll miss the opportunity to trust me deeper than you ever have. Child, do not water what I've already uprooted. Do not fear what I've already forbidden. You're safe not because you're lucky, or because the threat changed, but because I have placed protection around you that your eyes can't see. I have encamped angels where you thought you stood alone. I have shut the mouths of those who plotted against you in secret. I have extinguished fires meant to burn you before they even touched your name. But none of that matters if you keep waking up every day expecting heartbreak. I want you to live in the truth of what I've promised, not in the fiction of fear. What if you stopped feeding the lies? What if you took your thoughts captive and placed them in my hands? What if you lived like you knew I was telling the truth when I said, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper"? Stop reinforcing a future that doesn't align with my heart. That scary outcome you're preparing for is not ordained. That sudden downfall you secretly accepted is not your portion. Your destiny is not hanging by a thread of fear, it's grounded in my unshakable truth. I don't want you to keep surviving by mentally bracing for the worst. I want you to thrive by expecting what I have spoken. The next time fear starts forming a story in your mind, interrupt it. Cast it down. Remind yourself who you belong to and what I've declared. You are not powerless in this battle. Your thoughts do not have the final say. Speak my promises louder than the whisper of fear. Call on me when panic rises. I'm not far off, I'm right here, closer than your breath, silencing every storm your thoughts tried to start. That thing you fear is not on the way, but the life I've planned for you is. Don't let lies ruin what I'm about to reveal. Refuse to give power to predictions I never wrote. I need you to realize something very serious. Child, this isn't just nervous thinking anymore. This is an assignment designed to scatter your attention and sabotage your sensitivity to me. Worry has become a weapon in the enemy's hand, and he's wielding it skillfully, using it to drain your energy, pollute your perspective, and keep your eyes off what truly matters right now. This is a critical hour in your journey, and your awareness has never been more necessary. I'm moving pieces into alignment that require your obedience, not your obsession with problems you can't fix. While I've been preparing a breakthrough, your attention has been hijacked by loops of fear, endless overanalyzing, and emotional fatigue. Can't you see? The enemy can't stop my plan, but he knows if he steals your attention long enough, you'll walk right past what I've prepared without ever realizing it was yours. Distraction is not innocent, it's destructive. Every moment you spend thinking about what could fall apart is a moment stolen from the instructions I've been trying to hand you. The redirection I'm whispering. The doors I'm opening. The healing I'm initiating. You've been surrounded by divine activity, but worry has fogged your vision like a thick smoke. You keep saying you want clarity, but you're staring through the lens of fear. It will always blur what I'm trying to make plain. You don't need to understand everything right now. You just need to focus. I'm asking you urgently to come back to me with undivided attention. Turn your eyes from what drains you and fix your heart on what I'm saying. You're in a moment that could shape everything, but distraction is trying to disguise it as ordinary. If you keep listening to every anxious thought, if you keep feeding every mental spiral, you will lose your awareness of what I'm unfolding right in front of you. I need your focus because what I'm about to reveal requires sensitivity. I need your heart awake, not dulled by stress. I need your ears open, not filled with noise. I need your spirit positioned, not wandering. This is not just about stopping the worry, it's about recovering your ability to discern. You've been too distracted to recognize the shift that's already starting. The person I'm bringing into your life. The opportunity I'm opening. The healing I've begun. It's all in motion, but worry has turned your attention inward, bearing you under imagined outcomes while heaven's real movements unfold quietly behind you. I'm calling you to shake off this cloud, to snap out of this fog, to pull your eyes up and ask me what I'm doing, instead of feeding your fear of what might go wrong. I'm still the one in control. I'm still the one writing your story. And right now, I'm placing pivotal pieces where they need to be, but your part is to pay attention. This isn't the time to be emotionally scattered. This isn't the time to let small worries eat your big faith. I need you to focus, because I'm speaking, and what I'm saying will lead you directly into the place you've been praying to reach. But I won't shout over the voices in your mind, you must choose to silence them. Don't underestimate how serious this moment is. The distraction isn't casual, it's coordinated. But I am calling you higher. To live with your gaze steady. To breathe with your thoughts anchored. To walk with awareness of what I am doing, not what the enemy is trying to make you afraid of. Come back to me now. Reclaim your focus before worry ruins your readiness. This isn't just about calming down, it's about locking in. Your next instruction is near. But you must be present to receive it. Lift your eyes, my child. I am not hiding. I am highlighting what's next. Don't let your attention be pulled away any longer. This moment is too sacred to be missed. You've been crying out, asking me why you haven't heard from me, but child, it's not that I've gone silent. It's that your fear has been screaming over my whispers. Every time I try to deliver direction, your thoughts rush in like a flood, drowning the clarity with confusion. You plead for me to show you the way, but before I can respond, you've already played out 5 scenarios in your mind, none of which I've authored. It's not that I'm hiding guidance from you, it's that you're so preoccupied with bracing for disaster that my instructions can't land. Your heart is in a constant state of alarm, and when your inner world is in chaos, it's difficult to recognize my stillness. I don't yell over your panic, I speak into peace. That's why I keep calling you to be still, not because I want you inactive, but because stillness is the soil where divine answers take root. The questions you're asking me are important, but the posture you're holding is working against them. You keep checking your circumstances for confirmation instead of calming your soul for communion. I don't guide through pressure, I guide through presence. You saying, Lord, speak. But then you fill every moment with overthinking, calculating, assuming, and reacting. My voice is not buried in complexity, it's right beneath the noise you haven't silenced yet. That tension in your chest, that racing thought pattern, that inability to rest. Those are not signs of my leading. Those are symptoms of misalignment. You've been trying to solve spiritual matters with mental energy, and it's exhausting you. I'm not going to compete with your inner chaos, I'm inviting you to release it. I've never stopped speaking, but my words require a heart that's listening, not just begging. Right now, I need you to make space not just in your schedule, but in your soul. Push aside the mental clutter. Cancel the appointment with panic. Interrupt the spiral of overanalysis. I am not the source of pressure, I am the giver of peace. You say you're waiting on me, but in reality, I'm waiting on you to let go long enough to hear what I've been saying. The clarity you crave is already near, but you have to stop filtering it through fear. I'm not going to give you every step all at once, because this journey is designed to build intimacy. not just give information. You want the whole picture, but I want your whole attention. You want conclusions, I want communion. And right now, you're missing what I'm doing because you've become so tuned into everything that could go wrong. What if you stopped asking what if, and started asking what now, Lord? What if you allowed silence to become sacred instead of scary? I'm not distant, I'm deliberate. And my answer won't always come as lightning or loud declarations. Sometimes it's in the gentle nudge, the holy pause, a verse you almost skip, the feeling you tried to dismiss, the dream you thought was random. I speak in layers, and worry makes you deaf to subtle things. This is urgent, not because I'm angry, but because you're standing on the edge of something I don't want you to miss. I've prepared the next instruction. I've timed it perfectly, but your hearing must be restored before it can be received. Lay the fear down, not just once over and over. Every time it rises, take it captive. Tell it to be silent. Choose faith over frantic. You've been asking, Lord, why haven't you answered me? But now I ask you, child, why haven't you quieted down long enough to hear me? I'm not hiding. I'm right here. I've been responding in the moments you've overlooked, in the places you didn't expect, in the very silence you've been afraid of. Tune your heart back to me, and you will realize I've been answering you the entire time. You've been exhausting yourself trying to piece together every outcome, analyze every sign, and decode every silence, but I never instructed you to carry that weight. You've been functioning like the architect of your future when I've only ever asked you to walk hand in hand with me through each moment. You sit and stare at your circumstances, trying to calculate how everything might come together, but your reasoning was never meant to replace your reliance. What I'm building doesn't need your blueprints, it needs your belief. I am not testing your intelligence. I am testing your intimacy. I'm not waiting for you to solve the mystery. I'm watching to see if you will trust me through the unknown. This isn't a puzzle to decode, this is a process to experience. I know how much you want to skip to the end, to remove every uncertainty, to make sense of every delay. But I didn't promise full explanation, I promised faithful companionship. And right now I'm inviting you into deeper dependence, not deeper understanding. Your obsession with having all the answers is keeping you from the peace that comes with simply knowing me. I'm not asking you to map out every step, I'm asking you to keep walking even when the path disappears for a while. I'm not looking for your strategy, I'm looking for your surrender. Because the blessing I'm preparing will never be accessed through intellect alone, it must be received through trust. Every time you try to anticipate what's next, you lose sight of what I'm doing now. Every time you demand to see the finish line, you miss the joy of discovering me in the journey. You weren't created to be your own guide. You weren't designed to bear the pressure of predicting divine timing. I have not asked you to be strong enough to carry every detail, I've only asked you to stay close enough to hear my voice as it leads you. And yes, I know that it's uncomfortable. I know that waiting without clarity feels like wandering. But you are not lost, you are being led in a way that breaks your dependency on certainty and anchors your soul in me. If I told you everything at once, you would rely on information instead of transformation. If I laid out every outcome, you would trust the process more than the one who authors it. So I've kept some pieces hidden, not to torment you, but to teach you that I am trustworthy even in the dark. You're not being punished by the unknown, you're being prepared by it. Because real trust isn't tested when everything makes sense. It's revealed when nothing does, yet you choose me anyway. I'm here, walking every step with you, guiding with purpose even when the direction feels delayed. This is not a season of figuring it out, this is a sacred stretch of following even when it's foggy. And no, you're not failing just because you're uncertain. You're growing because you're still moving forward when comfort says to turn back. Your progress doesn't depend on how well you understand, it depends on how fully you yield. I'm building strength in you that only grows when sight gives way to faith. You will look back soon and realize that what felt like confusion was actually construction. That every delay, every redirection, every moment of tension was orchestrated to shape your character for the blessing that could break you if given too soon. So breathe. Exhale the pressure to figure everything out. I've got the ending already sealed. I know where this road leads, and the destination is still good. Let your questions rest in my presence. Let your anxious predictions dissolve in the assurance of who I am. Stop striving to solve what I've called you to trust through. I never asked you to understand it all, only to trust me as I bring it all to pass. You don't even realize how many gifts I've already placed in your path because worry has kept you too distracted to recognize them. I've scheduled moments of beauty, breakthrough, and joy to meet you exactly where you are. But your heart has been so preoccupied with fear that you keep missing what's been knocking all along. You ask me when the change will come, when the sorrow will lift, when the answer will arrive, but I need you to understand something urgent. Worry doesn't just weaken your soul. It postpones your access to the joy I've made ready. Your overthinking is not just a reaction, it's a roadblock. I am trying to deliver healing and laughter and restoration into your days, but every time you partner with anxious thoughts, you delay the celebration that was meant for now. Joy has not left your life, it's been waiting outside, pushed away by the noise of mental chaos and emotional overload. You don't have to earn delight. You just need to open the space for it. I created you not to carry constant heaviness, but to live as someone marked by divine gladness even in uncertainty. And no, I'm not saying everything must be perfect before you rejoice. I'm saying joy is not dependent on resolution, it's access through revelation. The moment you realize I'm still here, still good, still working in ways you can't yet see, that's the moment joy returns. But worry has convinced you that smiling means ignoring problems, that laughter is irresponsible, that rest is weakness. That's not truth. That's a lie from the pit designed to rob you of strength. Because the kind of joy I give doesn't come from escape, it rises from trust. It's the bold choice to celebrate my presence even when pain hasn't fully left. But if you keep nurturing what drains you, you will never have room for what uplifts you. You made space for fear at your table, and now joy waits uninvited on the outside. I'm asking you, will you finally let it in? Will you allow joy to walk into your life again without waiting for perfect conditions? You don't need every answer to embrace the goodness I'm offering. You just need willingness to shift your gaze. Because joy doesn't come through clarity, it comes through connection. When you choose to focus on me, even when everything feels unstable, you are unlocking access to a peace that surpasses logic and a happiness that cannot be shaken by circumstance. That's what I want for you. That's what I've been preparing. But your thoughts have been too cluttered to receive it. So I'm telling you with urgency. There are things trying to enter your life, things I personally wrapped in grace, but worry has barricaded the door. I won't force my gifts past your resistance. You have to recognize the cost of rehearsing your fears. Every moment spent there is a moment lost to joy, and that loss adds up. You were meant to walk through this season singing, not surviving. You were made to shine in the dark, not shrink into doubt. Joy is your inheritance, not a reward for perfection, but a result of faith. It's time to reclaim it. It's time to silence the voice that told you everything must be settled before you can be free. That is not my way. My joy is supernatural. It comes before the battle ends. It lifts before the outcome shifts. It heals while you're still holding on. But it cannot occupy the same space as worry. One must leave. And I'm asking you urgently, lovingly, and firmly, choose joy. Invite it back in. Let it rise, even if the tears haven't fully dried. Let it sing, even if questions remain. Let it lead you into the light of what I've already declared over you. Because while you're waiting for everything to be different, I'm offering you joy that changes everything. Open the door. It's been knocking long enough. You've lived with this quiet ache in your chest, a whisper that maybe, just maybe, you've drifted too far or failed one too many times for me to stay close. That thought didn't come from me, it was planted by doubt, nurtured by shame, and fueled by pain. And I'm here to uproot it completely. I need you to hear this as urgently as your next breath. I haven't moved an inch away from you. Not when the tears wouldn't stop. Not when the silence got loud. Not even when your faith faltered under the weight of your circumstances. I was there when you questioned if I still cared. I was holding your heart when you thought no one noticed your breaking point. I didn't walk away when you got overwhelmed. I didn't retreat when you made choices you now regret. I didn't flinch when your trust wavered. I stayed. Not because of your perfection, but because of my promise. I am not the kind who leaves when the road gets rough. I'm the one who digs his heels in beside you and whispers, "We're not done." You've been so scared that my love is conditional, that my presence is based on performance. But my love doesn't shake. It doesn't shift with your emotions. It doesn't reduce when your strength does. It stands. It surrounds. It holds fast. And it's holding you now, even if you haven't felt it. Your fear of being abandoned has distorted your ability to feel covered, but feelings lie, truth doesn't. And the truth is this: I am Emmanuel, God with you. Not sometimes. Not only when you get it all right. Always. I know you've been fighting this inner voice that tells you you're too much or not enough. I know the fear of being left behind has made you run even harder, perform even more, overthink every step. But I'm not measuring your value by what you do. I already called you precious when you were doing nothing at all. I need you to stop living like you're on the edge of being forgotten. I need you to stop preparing for me to walk out, as if you're bracing for heartbreak from the very one who healed you. I am not like those who disappointed you. I am not like those who promised and disappeared. I am not like the world that values you based on usefulness. I am your constant, your refuge, your anchor. The same yesterday, today, and forever. And even when you can't see what I'm doing, I'm still here doing it. Even when the silence feels unbearable, I'm still whispering through it. Even when your strength is gone, I'm still carrying what you can't. I don't abandon. I pursue. I seek. I stay. The enemy would love nothing more than to convince you that you've somehow disqualified yourself from my closeness, but he cannot undo what I've declared. And I've declared that you are mine. You belong. You're seen. You are surrounded by a love that doesn't release you when things get hard. So don't let fear write the ending to a story I'm still writing. Don't withdraw from me because shame tells you I've already left. Don't assume distance when I'm actually drawing near. I'm closer than your breath. I'm inside the battle with you, not watching from a distance. And this is important because what's ahead of you requires the confidence that I am not going anywhere. You cannot step into what I've prepared still believing that my presence is fragile. You need to walk forward knowing that you are covered, backed, supported, and led by a God who refuses to leave. I have not changed my mind about you. I have not rerouted my promise. I have not stopped working on your behalf. You are not alone in this, and you never will be. So let go of that fear. It was never meant to stay. I haven't left. I never will. You've been interpreting your difficulties as punishments, assuming that the obstacles in front of you must be signs that something is broken beyond repair, but what you don't yet see is how I've embedded restoration into every step. Nothing about your journey is accidental. Even the detours, the pauses, the pain, they've all been touched by my intentional hand. I didn't design your path to break you. I shaped it to bring you back to life in places that were silently dying. I'm not trying to strip you of joy, I'm anchoring you in a deeper kind of peace. You've mistaken the pressure for punishment, but pressure often precedes purpose. You've been walking through fire, not to be consumed, but to be refined. And what I'm refining in you is something more valuable than you've ever carried before. I know it's been heavy. I know your heart has questioned if you were walking toward a cliff instead of a future. But hear me. I haven't led you into a trap, I've led you into transformation. There are layers of healing that cannot happen in comfort, and I've been walking you through those hidden spaces not to harm you, but to uncover what needs to be restored. Your tears haven't been wasted. Your pain hasn't been pointless. I've counted every sleepless night and stood guard over every vulnerable moment, not as a distant observer, but as a compassionate redeemer. You assumed that things falling apart meant I was absent, but in reality, I was right there, allowing only what would ultimately lead to your rebuilding. I've withheld certain shortcuts not because I wanted to make things harder, but because I'm more concerned with your wholeness than with your speed. I've been preparing a version of you that can carry the weight of the blessing coming next, and healing is a necessary part of that preparation. I didn't want to just fix your circumstances, I wanted to fix the parts of your heart that you've covered for so long. You thought you had to hide your wounds to survive, but I'm not here to judge your brokenness, I'm here to meet you in it and lift you from it. And this path, as unpredictable and painful as it's been, has been the very place where my hand has done the deepest work. You've grown in places you didn't even know were lacking. You've matured through trials that would have crushed the old version of you. You've learned how to cling to me when nothing made sense, and that, child, is the kind of healing that changes everything. Stop believing the lie that I've been cruel. I've been careful. I've been deliberate. I've been weaving redemption through every scar. What you call broken, I call blessed ground because it's where I planted something eternal. And now, you're on the edge of stepping into a season where you will start to see why I didn't let things unfold the way you expected. There is no destruction in my design for you. There is development. There is deliverance. There is divine breakthrough. I planned this route to lead you out of the cycles that once trapped you, out of the patterns that kept you stuck, out of the illusions that kept your spirit bound. And now, I'm guiding you into wide open places where your soul can breathe again. But I need you to trust the way I've taken you. I need you to stop calling this journey a mistake. I need you to stop labeling this process as punishment. What felt like collapse was actually reconstruction. What looked like silence was filled with purpose. And what you feared would destroy you is actually what's making you whole. My plan has never been to tear you apart, it's been to restore what life, people, and the enemy tried to destroy. And I haven't failed once. Not in your lowest valley. Not in your darkest moment. Not in your most fragile hour. You are still in my hands. And this path, though painful, is paved with mercy. It's not your ruin, it's your recovery. And I'm still leading every step. You've been rehearsing a version of tomorrow that I never designed, one shaped by dread, worst-case endings, and all the silent fears that sneak in when no one is watching. You brace yourself every day for something to go wrong, constantly waiting for the moment when it all falls apart. But that future, the one you keep imagining through anxious thoughts and sleepless nights, is not the one I've written for you. It's a counterfeit narrative birthed in fear, not formed by faith. And I need you to reject it now completely, urgently, and without delay, because the longer you hold on to that imagined outcome, the more disconnected you become from the true story I'm still unfolding. What you've been fearing isn't prophetic, it's deceptive. It's a shadow projected by insecurity, not a forecast of reality. I didn't give you a spirit of fear. I gave you power. I gave you authority. I gave you my presence, and that changes everything about your future. Oh, not walk you toward glove to, I walk you toward fulfillment. But if you keep consulting your fears like they're facts, you'll live your life preparing for disasters that will never happen, missing the joy I've placed right in front of you. You've let fear become your navigator, allowing it to determine your expectations, your decisions, even your pace. Let's not trust its torment. And torment is never from me. I want to break that cycle right now, because what's ahead of you is drenched in grace. It's covered in my goodness. It's heavy with opportunity, breakthrough, peace, and provision. You don't have to keep flinching at every unknown moment. You don't have to walk on eggshells through your own life, tiptoeing through each day as if destruction is inevitable. That's not my voice. That's not my heart. I'm not setting you up for collapse, I'm setting you up for clarity, for stability. And yet, you continue to mentally pack for a disaster that's not coming. You've rehearsed loss so many times that it feels more familiar than hope. But I didn't teach you to expect heartbreak, I've been teaching you to expect me. And I never arrive empty-handed. I come with wholeness, with vision, with restoration, with divine reversals of everything the enemy meant to steal. But you have to stop imagining futures where I don't show up. You have to stop making room for outcomes I never authorized. That's not realism, it's surrendering your imagination to the wrong kingdom. I gave you your mind so it could build with me, not spiral against me. You weren't meant to live each day afraid of what hasn't happened. You were meant to wake up expectant for what I've already prepared. The future is not a mystery to me. I've walked through it before you. I've paved it with promises, anchored it in my word, and filled it with surprises you didn't see coming but will soon call miracles. What I've planned is not flimsy. It's not fragile. And it's not fearful. It's rooted in my perfect foresight. So if you really trust me, then stop aligning with outcomes that don't carry my fingerprints. Let go of the fear-based blueprints. Tear up the mental contracts you've made with disappointment. Cancel the agreement you made with destruction. And come into alignment with the hope I've placed deep within your spirit. I'm not building something in your life that collapses under pressure. I'm constructing something eternal, unshakable, and filled with my glory. You need to understand this now, before you delay the next season by partnering with lies. Because if you're not careful, fear will have you turning away from doors I've opened, simply because they look unfamiliar. It's time to stop bracing for collapse and start believing for fulfillment. I am the author of your story, and I don't write tragedies as endings for those I love. So the next time fear paints another false image of what's coming, remember this truth. If it doesn't reflect my nature, it doesn't belong in your imagination. You keep trading your calm for chaos every time an unverified thought enters your mind. You welcome it, examine it, and then let it settle in your heart like it owns the place. But I never sent it. I never spoke those conclusions you've been quietly agreeing with. I never delivered the forecast of loss, failure, or disaster that you've been entertaining. Yet you've let those narratives take the steering wheel, driving your emotions, shaping your expectations, and coloring your worldview with fear instead of faith. Child, I need you to see how serious this is. Your peace is not being stolen by force. It's being surrendered by consent. Not because I'm absent, not because peace has left you, but because you've allowed illegitimate thoughts to stand in authority over what I've declared. I gave you peace as a gift, one the world can't manufacture and circumstances can't control, but you've unknowingly been giving it away every time you accept ideas that contradict my nature. You hear a negative report, and suddenly your joy dims. You see a delay, and instantly you assume the worst. You encounter silence, and you decide that something must be wrong. But who told you that? Where did that come from? It didn't come from my heart. It didn't flow from my throne. I don't deal in fear-based assumptions, I deal in truth. And truth doesn't change because time passes or feelings shift. What I spoke remains. But your peace is constantly disrupted not by me but by the mental agreement you've made with voices that don't carry my authority. This is more than just a bad habit, it's a spiritual exchange. You're placing confidence in ideas that oppose my promises, and then wondering why your soul feels so unstable. The tension in your spirit isn't coming from my delay, it's coming from misplaced trust. You're trusting speculation over revelation. You're holding on to whispers of fear louder than my word. And I'm calling you to stop. This pattern cannot follow you into the next chapter, because what I'm doing next requires your focus, your clarity, and your full agreement. I'm teaching you how to discern not just the obvious, but the subtle. Not all predictions come with flashing warning signs. Some come dressed as logic. Some appear as realism. Some sound like preparation. But if it doesn't produce peace, if it doesn't align with who I've revealed myself to be, it's not from me. And if it's not from me, it has no right to dictate your perspective. You are not a victim of thought, you are a vessel of my spirit. That means you have the authority to shut down ideas that create panic instead of peace. You don't have to entertain every suggestion that passes through your mind. You don't have to follow every trail of what-ifs. You get to choose which voice leads your heart. And I'm calling you urgently to silence the ones I did not send. This is not about ignoring reality, it's about protecting your spirit from distortion. It's about guarding the space where I speak, where I comfort, where I lead. I want you to practice peace, not just feel it. I want you to recognize when it's leaking and trace it back to the unauthorized source. You've lived too long letting peace be optional, when I made it essential. You cannot step into the fullness of what I've planned while constantly giving your confidence to false forecasts. From this point forward, I'm giving you grace to discern, to test every thought, to hold every belief up to the light of my truth. And when something doesn't align, don't entertain it, evict it. You have the right to protect your peace. You have the authority to keep it. And I want you to start treating it like the treasure it truly is. Because what I'm building in you requires a quiet heart, a focused mind, and a spirit anchored in my presence, not tossed around by unauthorized predictions. So don't give your peace away anymore. Not to fear, not to doubt, not to anything I didn't say. What you've been carrying wasn't handed to you by my spirit. That heaviness pressing on your chest, that silent pressure that shows up in the middle of the night and makes breathing feel like a battle, it's not part of my presence. I never placed that burden on your soul. That weight is not spiritual responsibility, it's accumulated pain from false narratives you've unknowingly accepted as truth. Somewhere along the way, you began to believe you had to hold everything together, manage everyone's expectations, and solve problems that were never meant to be yours. And now, the lies you've accepted have become chains around your peace. You're not exhausted because of the journey I've been giving you strength for that. You're weary because of the mental battles you've been fighting in silence, against beliefs that were never sent from me. That inner voice that says you're failing, that you're not enough, that everything is about to fall apart, that's not my voice. I don't weigh my children down with condemnation. I don't lead with pressure. I don't speak in tones of dread. I lift. I cover. I empower. So if your heart is sinking instead of rising, it means something untrue has taken root. You've built a framework of self-worth on the opinions of others and called it responsibility. You've confused striving for stewardship. You've mistaken anxiety for alertness. But I'm here to untangle what's been choking your joy. The weight you feel is the consequence of aligning with voices that diminish you. And I want to break that pattern now. You weren't created to live under constant emotional strain, constantly questioning your worth or second-guessing every decision you make. That is not the life I formed you for. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. And if what you're carrying feels crushing, then it's time to lay it down. I know it's become familiar. I know it's been with you so long, it almost feels like part of you. But it's not. It's residue from disappointment. It's leftovers from criticism. It's the imprint of rejection you never deserved. And I need you to see that none of it came from me. I've watched you try to smile through the heaviness. I've seen you push forward while your soul whispers for relief. And even in that struggle, I've stayed. Not angry, not distant, but close, reaching with compassion, waiting for the moment you'd finally recognize that you're not meant to carry what I'm already defeated. You've been holding guilt like it's your identity. You've been clinging to fear as if it's your compass. You've been wearing shame like it belongs on your shoulders. But I've already paid for all of it to be removed. My blood didn't just cover your sin, it redeemed your story, redefined your name, and restored your access to rest. So I'm speaking to that unseen heaviness now, the one that lingers when no one's around, the one that makes your chest tighten for no reason. That is not holy. That is not your portion. That is not the voice of your shepherd. You are not failing. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not invisible. That pressure is from deception, and I am replacing it with truth. You are loved without performance. You are carried without needing to earn it. You are called without comparison. I need you to start identifying every feeling that weighs you down and ask it one question: who told me this? Because I promise you, anything that robs your peace didn't come from me. I want you to take your hands off every lie that crept in through wounds. I want you to clear out every belief that contradicts my goodness. I want you to breathe again, not shallow, guarded breaths, but deep, restful ones, anchored in my care. You're not supposed to live under a burden of survival. You're invited to dwell in the abundance of my truth. And that begins when you finally drop the weight I never gave you. So exhale, child, I'm lifting it now. Let the lies go. You're safe here. You always have been. You've spent so much of your energy trying to calculate what's coming, as if you could predict the next chapter well enough to feel safe in it. But I haven't asked you to map out the future, I've asked you to trust the one who holds it. Faith isn't about mastering outcomes, it's about surrendering to my leading, even when it interrupts your expectations. You've been clinging to the comfort of preparation, rehearsing possibilities in your mind to shield yourself from the unknown. But I'm not looking for your predictions, I'm searching for your full trust in me without conditions. The truth is, every time you try to anticipate the details, you subtly remove me from the center. You start leaning on assumptions instead of leaning on my presence. You begin to place your security in imagined scenarios rather than in my unchanging truth. But I didn't build you to live like that, not chained to probabilities, not trapped in mental strategies designed to reduce risk. You don't need a forecast to walk forward, you need faith to follow. I'm not a theory to study or a pattern to analyze. I'm your shepherd. I lead with my voice, not a spreadsheet. And right now, I'm inviting you to close the mental tabs you've been switching between, all those internal projections that only leave you more uncertain and spiritually tired. I want you to see that your effort to mentally organize the unknown is actually draining the strength I've given you for today. You were never meant to figure it all out. You were meant to abide, moment by moment, decision by decision, breath by breath. I know that surrender feels like loss when you're used to control. I know it can seem irresponsible not to plan for every scenario. But faith isn't irresponsibility, it's obedience in motion. It's the bold decision to walk even when visibility is low. And it's what I'm calling you into now. Stop depending on forecasts. They change. I don't. Stop checking the emotional weather of your day to determine if I'm still with you. I remain. My word doesn't shift with conditions. My promises aren't delayed because of uncertainty. You've let your faith become reactive, driven by what you see instead of anchored in who I am. And I want to reverse that. I want to restore a type of faith that walks forward without needing all the answers lined up. The kind that trusts I'm preparing what you can't see, even when the current moment doesn't match your expectations. I never told you to manage my timing, I told you to rest in my wisdom. There's a difference between wisdom and control, and the line between them is called surrender. You've been living so close to that line, trying to walk in both directions. But now I'm drawing you fully over. I'm asking you to give me the part of your heart that still believes safety comes from prediction. And doesn't. Safety comes from me. I'm the only solid ground beneath your feet, and I've never let you fall where I couldn't catch you. I know what's ahead. I know how to lead you through it. And I'm not asking you to understand, only to follow. You can set down the burden of knowing everything. You can release the fear of being unprepared. What I'm building in you now doesn't require a forecast, it requires full reliance. So let your prayers be shaped less by what will happen, and more by how can I trust you here. Let your days be guided not by assumptions but by alignment. I don't need your projections, I need your posture. Eyes up, hands open, heart yielded. That's where my power moves. That's where miracles begin. And that's where you'll see that I never needed your plans to fulfill my purpose. I only ever needed your yes. You've been spending hours rehearsing imaginary situations, trying to get ahead of potential pain, as if fear could shield you from the unknown. But all it's really doing is draining your strength for the only moment you've actually been given, this one. Worry disguises itself as wisdom. It wears the mask of caution. It pretends to be preparation. But in reality, it is a thief. A silent thief that walks into your day and takes what I've placed in your hands right now: peace, clarity, purpose, and focus. You've been led to believe that obsessing over what could happen somehow protects you from what might. But that's not safety, it's spiritual exhaustion. What you're calling responsible is sometimes just a fear-based habit you've mistaken for maturity. And I love you too much to let you stay trapped in it. Child, I want you to be fully alive in the moment you're in, not half present, not emotionally fractured, not already living in a future that hasn't even arrived. The truth is, tomorrow's concerns don't belong to you yet. They're mine. I'm already in your next chapter, handling things you haven't even begun to worry about. But when you try to live in both today and tomorrow at the same time, your soul pays the cost. You weren't designed to carry that much. That's why it feels heavy. That's why you're tired before the day even starts. Because worry doesn't give you control, it just steals your capacity. You lose the strength to love fully, to serve joyfully, to rest deeply, to hear me clearly. And all because your mind is running ahead, searching for threats instead of listening for my direction. Let me remind you, I give daily bread, not monthly forecasts. I provide what you need for now. I don't operate through panic, I move through peace. And I'm trying to meet you here, in this very moment, but you're halfway out the door mentally, already entertaining worst-case scenes that haven't been written. You keep telling yourself you're being cautious, but there's a difference between being wise and being bound. And what you've allowed to linger isn't discernment, it's torment. I never taught you to rehearse suffering in advance. I taught you to abide, to remain in me. Because only here, in the present, can your spirit draw from my strength. Only here can you hear what I'm saying today. You can't receive fresh instruction when your mind is consumed with speculation. And you can't respond to my leading when your focus is lost in an imagined disaster. I need you to come back to now. Not next week. Not next year. Not after everything makes sense. Right now. Because there's grace for today, but you miss it when you live outside of it. You forfeit what I've released for this hour by letting your heart wander into timelines I haven't called you to enter. Stop treating worry like it's helping you. It's not preparing you, it's weakening you. It's lying to you with a tone that sounds reasonable but produces unrest. And anything that doesn't lead to peace is not from me. I want you to trust that I know how to prepare you without making you panic. I don't need your stress to move on your behalf. I need your surrender. That means handing me the fears you've been holding like tools. You don't need them to be ready. You just need me. And I'm here. Present. Steady. Fully aware of everything that's ahead. I've got it. You don't have to predict to be protected. You just need to dwell where I am because my provision, my strength, and my joy are found in this moment, not in the imagined ones ahead. So take your mind out of tomorrow. It's safe in my hands. And take your heart out of the future, it's already covered. Breathe again. Reclaim your strength by returning to where I am. And remember, your power isn't found in knowing what's next. It's found in trusting me right here. There's a limit to what your hands were designed to manage, and right now, you're stretched beyond what your soul was ever meant to carry. You've been holding expectations, outcomes, emotions, and unanswered questions all at once, and it's crushing you quietly. You feel the weight every time you wake up with that heavy breath, every time your thoughts race before your feet even touch the floor, every time you pretend you're okay because you think no one else would understand. But I do. I see it. I feel the tension in your chest that words can't explain. And I need you to know, you were never meant to hold all of this. That kind of burden wasn't built for human shoulders, it was always mine to carry. You've been pushing yourself, as if endurance alone would get you through. You've convinced yourself that being strong means doing it alone. But I never asked you to prove your worth through self-sufficiency. I never required you to manage every detail or protect everyone's emotions. What I've been asking, what I'm still asking, is that you release what is too much for you and place it in my hands. There is no shame in needing help from your Savior. That's what I'm here for. You've been trained to believe that surrender means weakness, but in my kingdom, Surrender is where miracles begin. Right now, you are bending under a pressure that's breaking your joy, but I am offering rest, not the kind that just pauses your body, but the kind that resets your spirit. The kind that lifts invisible burdens and replaces them with the peace that surpasses all human logic. But for that to happen, you must stop clinging to the parts of the process that are outside your ability to control. Stop pretending you can fix what I've already scheduled to redeem. Stop trying to predict what only I can prepare. Stop managing pain you haven't even been called to heal. You are not the solution to every problem, and that's okay. That's why I came to be what you cannot. To step in where your strength ends and mine takes over. But I will force your hand open. I won't wrestle the burden away. You must choose to let go. That means trusting that I am not only able but willing to hold what is breaking you. Your thoughts, your future, your relationships, your fears, your weariness. Give it to me. Not once, not temporarily, but fully, without strings attached. Lay it down without secretly planning to pick it back up tomorrow. Because this heaviness will not lift until you admit it's too much. And once you do, you'll feel the shift. You'll notice that the tension loosens, that the internal pressure lessens, that peace begins to rise not because the situation changed, but because the weight moved. You've been carrying the consequence of misplaced responsibility. But now, I'm inviting you to breathe again, to rest again, to walk with lighter steps because you finally placed what's mine back into my hands. Don't be afraid that things will fall apart without your control. I hold all things together. You're not being irresponsible by letting go, you're being obedient. You're not abandoning your role, you're trusting me to handle what your role was never meant to contain. I never asked you to carry the world, I asked you to walk with me. And when you do, I'll carry the world for you. This is your moment to make the shift. Not through effort, but through trust. Let me be your strength. Let me be your stability. Let me carry the unknown. Let me handle the weight of what's next. You were never designed to live this life under constant pressure. That's not endurance, that's bondage. And I came to set you free. So hand it to me, child. The part that's too big. The load that's too heavy. You're not failing, you're finally letting the one who never fails take over. You've let your thoughts run so far ahead of me that they've started dictating your direction, your mood, your identity, and even your faith. But I didn't place you under the rule of your own understanding. Your thoughts are powerful, yes, but they were never meant to be your leader. They are tools, not rulers. Servants, not kings. And right now, I am calling you back to a higher authority, my spirit. The thoughts that race and loop and weigh you down were never designed to drive your decisions or shape your worth. You've been treating every mental impulse like it carries truth, like it holds the final word, like it gets to define what happens next. But that's not the order I established in you. You are not supposed to follow your thoughts, you're called to renew them. And that begins by letting me, not your logic, sit in the seat of leadership. I'm not asking you to turn off your brain. I'm asking you to bring it back under the covering of my voice. Because when your thoughts wander without my guidance, they start building fears instead of faith. They build stories I never wrote, dwell on pain I already healed, and anticipate battles I've already won. And the more you follow those patterns, the more distant I feel, not because I've moved, but because your focus has shifted. You've allowed your thoughts to become louder than my spirit, and now they are calling the shots. But I want to show you a better way. A way where your soul breathes again. A way where peace is the compass, not anxiety. A way where wisdom flows from within instead of being chased from without. That can only happen when you decide that your thoughts will no longer govern you. You've been listening to every inner voice without discernment. Not every thought deserves your agreement. Not every idea is truth. And not every mental narrative should be followed. This is where the shift begins, when you stop accepting every thought as final and start filtering them through my spirit. I gave you access to discernment for a reason. I gave you the power to interrupt the inner noise. You don't have to go where your thoughts try to drag you. You don't have to live according to every fear, every insecurity, every analysis that pulls you away from me. That's not spiritual maturity, it's mental captivity. But the spirit I placed in you carries freedom, not confusion. Clarity, not chaos. Stability, not turmoil. And if you've been living with mental unrest, it's time to pause and ask who's been leading. Because I never lead with panic. I never lead with guilt. I never lead with torment. I speak through stillness, through nudges of peace, through truth that never contradicts my word. If the voice inside you is rushing, accusing, overwhelming, then it's not mine. I want to train you again to follow the whispers of the Spirit instead of the waves of your thoughts. You've let mental noise become normal, but I'm calling you to a supernatural quiet, the kind that doesn't mean the world is calm, but that your soul is. Let me lead you from within. Let me teach your mind to listen again. Let me restore the order I created, spirit over thought, truth over emotion, my presence above your plans. You don't have to figure it all out. You just need to yield. Because when my spirit leads, peace follows. When my spirit leads, clarity comes. When my spirit leads, your thoughts no longer torment you, they serve you. You become aligned, no longer swinging between overthinking and emotional fatigue. This is what I want for you. This is the freedom I paid for. So stop letting your thoughts play God. They're not equipped for that. Let me take the lead again. Let me remind your soul what it feels like to follow instead of strive. Let me guide you moment by moment, thought by thought. Your mind is not your master, it's time to place it back under the authority of my spirit, where it always belonged. You've been standing at the edge of something sacred, but fear keeps whispering that it's all still far away, that it'll take years, that you've missed it, that maybe it was never really coming. But I need you to hear me now with clarity. That is a lie. You are not as far as it feels. You are not wandering without direction. You are not being teased by glimpses of progress only to be left empty-handed. You're nearer than you realize, closer than your fears would ever allow you to believe. That resistance you've been facing isn't a sign of delay, it's a signal that the threshold is right in front of you. The enemy wouldn't be attacking this hard if what I promised wasn't almost in reach. You don't get this kind of pressure in the middle of the wilderness. It comes when the walls are about to fall, when the breakthrough is within reach, when the enemy sees what's next and starts using lies to cloud your vision, hoping you'll stop walking before you step into what's already opening. But I'm here to tell you, don't stop now. Don't slow down. Don't give in to the voice that says it's too late or too hard or too much. You've been walking through dark valleys. Yes, but the valley is not your ending. It's a passage. And on the other side is a fulfillment more beautiful than what you expected. I've been setting the stage, preparing the details, orchestrating the connections. You've been faithful through what you didn't understand, and that faith has not gone unseen. Heaven has recorded every yes you whispered through your tears. Every decision to trust me when things looked the opposite of what you were praying for. Every moment you refused to quit when quitting would have been easier. I know you don't feel like you've moved much, but in the unseen realm, ground hath been taken. Walls have been shifting. Chains have been breaking. And now you're steps away from crossing into the evidence of everything I've promised. This is why fear has become so loud, because it knows what's about to happen. It knows that once you cross this point, everything changes. That the weight you've carried for years will lift. That the story others thought was over will turn into a testimony. That the places where you've been overlooked will be where I now pour favor. But the fear has been working overtime, trying to convince you to back away. It's trying to make you think it's safer to expect disappointment than to hold on for what's real. But I need you to hold on anyway. Even when it feels like nothing's moving. Even when the silence tries to lie to you. Even when the door you're praying for looks sealed shut, because I'm already turning the key. Don't let a temporary delay talk you out of a permanent promise. You're not being denied, you're being positioned. And sometimes I allow the final stretch to feel the hardest, not to crush you, but to prove to you how much you've grown. to show you that the things that used to shake you now only make you stronger. This season has been about refinement, but now the release is near. I don't say that lightly. I don't dangle hope in front of you to see how long you'll chase it. I am truth. When I say something is close, it's not a dream, it's a divine reality already making its way into your now. But I need you to keep walking. Not because I'm testing you, but because the step you're about to take is the one that shifts everything. Don't let fear rob you of the reward. Don't hand over your hope to the voices that were never speaking from me. You're closer than ever. Don't measure that by how things look, measure it by what I've said. And what I've said is still coming. Get ready, because breakthrough is not far. It's right in front of you. You've been asking me for confirmation, waiting for direction, hoping for a word that proves you're on the right path, but your eyes have been locked on your worries for so long that you haven't noticed the signals I've already placed in front of you. I've been speaking. I've been showing you. I've been dropping pieces of guidance like breadcrumbs, not to confuse you, but to gently lead you forward step by step. But fear has narrowed your focus. It's caused you to fixate on what could go wrong rather than what I'm unfolding right before your eyes. You've been so absorbed in the tension that you've missed my movement. You've stared at closed doors so long that you haven't seen the ones I've been opening nearby. You paid more attention to what's uncertain than what's undeniable. I need you to stop scanning the horizon for threats and start tuning your heart to my presence again. Because I've been near. I've been speaking in ways you didn't expect, through people you almost ignored, through moments you rushed past, through quiet convictions that flickered and faded because you brushed them off as random. But they weren't. I was in those moments. I was in those thoughts that felt out of place. I was in the pauses that interrupted your routine. I was trying to reach you, but you were too busy rehearsing your fears to recognize that it was me. I'm not rebuking you, I'm rescuing you from distraction. Because if you keep watching your life through the lens of fear, you will misread every divine moment as a potential danger. You'll mistake redirection as rejection. You'll call blessings too good to be true. You'll turn away from peace because you've trained yourself to expect pain. That's not how I want you to live. That's not how I lead my children. I want you to discern the difference between instinct and insight. Instinct reacts to fear. Insight receives from me. I'm not calling you to be suspicious of your journey. I'm calling you to be sensitive to my spirit. Because what I'm doing now isn't loud. It's precise. It's intentional. And if you're not listening, you'll miss the very guidance you've been praying for. The answer doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes it arrives through stillness, through peace that interrupts chaos, through clarity that seems too simple to be true. But it's me. I'm speaking differently in this season, less through external shaking, more through internal alignment. But you must be still enough to notice. That means stepping away from the noise. That means refusing to let fear filter what I'm showing you. Because when fear is your lens, every door looks dangerous. Every opportunity feels risky. Every invitation feels like a trap. That's not discernment, it's distortion. And it keeps you stuck in cycles I've already given you the wisdom to exit. You asked me for a sign, but the issue isn't that I haven't sent it, the issue is that you've been expecting it to arrive in a way that accommodates your anxiety. But I'm not going to speak through fear. I'm not going to confirm what I didn't command. If the voice you're listening to keeps pulling you into dread, it's not mine. I speak in ways that call you forward, not through terror, but through trust. So look again. Look with faith this time. Revisit the moment you dismissed. Rethink the message you ignored. Recall the conversation you thought was random. I've been weaving confirmation through your days, but you must be tuned in to see it. I will not compete with fear for your attention. I'm not shouting over the panic, I'm inviting you to listen beneath it. Because the sign you're searching for may not look like lightning. It may look like a gentle knowing. A door swinging open without resistance. A sentence that feels like it was written just for you. That's me. That's how I move. Don't miss it this time. Lift your eyes. Quiet the fear. Open your heart again. I'm still speaking, and the signs have been right in front of you all along. You've been asking me to make things clear, to remove the fog, to help you see what's next, but clarity won't land in a heart that's cluttered with noise. I've been waiting to deposit wisdom, but the space has been filled with inner dialogue that doesn't come from me. All the back and forth, the what-ifs, the overthinking, the opinions, the memories that echo pain louder than peace. It's been drowning out the direction I've been trying to deliver. You've mistaken movement for progress, but mental spinning is not the same as spiritual insight. I don't lead through confusion. I'm not hidden behind chaos. I am the still voice beneath the storm. But to hear me, you must be willing to mute everything else. That means the swirling fear that tells you you're behind. That means the pressure that demands results without rest. That means the lies that say you can't trust yourself to discern anymore. You've been trying to find clarity while carrying clutter. But the truth is, you can't hear clearly when your soul is still hosting conversations I never started. I want to speak to you without having to compete. I want to guide you without being drowned out by assumptions. I want to show you what's next without your heart mislabeling it as just another risk. But clarity doesn't shout, it settles. And it needs a heart that's calm enough to welcome it. You don't need more answers right now, you need more quiet. Not external silence, but internal stillness. That sacred quiet where you're not performing in your mind, not reacting to shadows, not chasing mental trails that only lead to dead ends. That is the space where my voice becomes unmistakable. That is where direction emerges, not as a flash of lightning, but as an undeniable peace you can't explain. And you felt it before. You just didn't know how to protect it. You allowed noise to follow you into holy spaces. You allowed outside chatter to override internal knowing. But I'm teaching you again how to recognize my clarity, how to recognize me. Because I don't come wrapped in panic. I don't come with emotional pressure. I arrive in truth that doesn't rush you, that doesn't shame you, that doesn't cloud your mind. I come with a deep knowing that anchors you in peace even if the full picture isn't yet revealed. But before I release that next layer of understanding, I'm asking you to remove what's in the way. Let go of the urgency that demands resolution over intimacy. Release the timeline that's pushing you to hear prematurely. Clear the stage of every competing voice, including the one in your own mind that speaks from fatigue and fear. Because clarity won't come through force, it will come when you learn to lean again. This isn't about figuring out your future. This is about creating enough spiritual stillness for me to speak into it. I've already prepared what you're asking for, but I refuse to hand it over into chaos. My clarity is too holy to be thrown into a storm of distraction. And right now, you're at a turning point. You're close. I've been lining things up. I've been speaking in small ways to test your awareness. And now I'm ready to say more, but will you make space to hear it? Will you pause long enough to listen without fear shaping what you hear? Will you trust me enough to shut out everything else until only my voice remains? I want you to come into alignment with heaven's rhythm again. That rhythm isn't hurried. It isn't chaotic. It isn't filled with guessing and doubting and spinning in circles. It's still, confident, grounded. And that's what I'm offering you now. Come out of the mental storm. Step into the silence where I speak. Let me fill the room you've cleared in your heart. And I promise you, what seemed hidden will become visible. What felt confusing will make sense. What looked impossible will begin to open. But it begins in the stillness. Make room. I am bringing clarity, but it won't land in chaos. You've been pacing within yourself, asking me the same questions over and over, thinking I've been silent, thinking maybe I haven't noticed how desperate you are for direction, but what you don't realize is that I already released the answer. I already spoke. I already moved. The reason you can't see it yet isn't because I've denied you, it's because the answer is arriving in layers, in pieces, in steps that are building towards something fuller than you imagined. You're used to quick replies, to instant confirmations, but I don't operate on urgency born from fear. I answer from a place of eternal timing, not temporary discomfort. And what you're calling delay is actually development. You asked me for breakthrough, and I said yes. You asked me to open the right door, and I did. You asked me for healing, for favor, for direction, and my response wasn't no. It wasn't even later. It was already activated. But the pace doesn't match your expectations, so you assumed I didn't reply. You equated movement with speed. You assumed this silence meant absence. But I'm not absent, I'm present in every detail that's quietly forming beneath the surface. You just can't see it yet because it's still growing roots. And you're not waiting for me to answer. You're learning how to trust what I've already spoken. I don't play games with your heart. I don't dangle hope in front of you only to pull it away. When I declare something, I finish it. But I finish it in my rhythm, not yours. And I know you've been anxious. I know you've looked at the calendar, counted the days, measured your progress, and felt the pressure of time press in. But you have to understand something sacred. My timing is not behind. It's ahead of your worry. It's ahead of your confusion. It's ahead of your perceived lack. And every piece of your answered prayer is being positioned with care. You've been expecting a sudden moment, but I'm building a sustained miracle. One that won't fade when emotions change. One that won't collapse when circumstances test it. It takes time. That requires preparation. And while you're waiting, I'm watching how you respond. Not because I'm testing your worth, but because I'm deepening your roots so you can carry what's coming without breaking. What I'm forming in you during this waiting season is just as important as the outcome itself. So no, you're not being ignored. You're being invited to trust again. Not because you see results, but because you know who I am. I've already gone ahead of you. I've already put the answer in motion. But I'm not going to rush what needs to be complete. I care too much about your future to give you something half-formed. And I care too much about your heart to let you believe I'm far away when I've actually been closer than ever. You've been searching for evidence, but faith isn't built on proof. It's built on persistence. And right now, I'm asking you to persist, to remain steady in the space between the promise and its full appearance. You'll see it. It's coming. But I need you to stop assuming something is wrong just because the unfolding is slow. I need you to stop comparing your timeline to someone else's. I need you to stop asking me to hurry and start asking me to help you stay grounded. The answer you're looking for isn't missing, it's maturing. It's taking shape. It's becoming exactly what it needs to be so that when it finally arrives, it blesses you without burdening you. So take a breath. Lay down the worry you've been carrying like a question I haven't responded to. I heard you the first time. I moved the moment you asked. And I've been weaving it together with more care than you know. This is not delay. It's divine pacing. And soon, you'll see that everything I said is true, just right on time. You don't realize how close you are to something sacred, something life-changing, something I've been preparing in hidden places, but the enemy does. And that's why worry has been louder than usual. That's why anxiety keeps knocking at your heart like an unwanted visitor. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're on the edge of something the enemy is desperate to distract you from. He doesn't need to destroy what I'm doing in your life if he can simply convince you not to see it. And that's what worry does, it fogs your vision. It clouds the view just enough that you start doubting what's already in motion. He doesn't show up with obvious opposition. He arrives with subtle lies. He makes you believe you're behind, that you've missed the open door, that what's ahead is probably more loss. And in doing so, he turns your eyes inward, so tightly focused on what could go wrong that you miss the good that's already unfolding right in front of you. Worry doesn't just weigh your soul, it changes your posture. It pulls your head down when I've been trying to lift it up. It narrows your perspective when I've been widening your path. It robs you of the ability to notice the small signs of progress that are proof I'm near. And here's what's most dangerous. If you let worry speak long enough, it becomes a lens instead of a warning. You begin to see everything through it. Every opportunity becomes a trap. Every delay becomes a sign of failure. Every challenge becomes a forecast of defeat. But that's not truth, that's a tactic. The enemy can't cancel my plan for you. But if he can distort your perception, he can convince you to give up before you ever get there. He can't steal your promise, so he tries to steal your hope. But I'm exposing that strategy right now. I'm uncovering the lie and replacing it with truth. You are not walking in circles, you are walking toward completion. You are not stuck, you are being positioned. You are not cursed, you are deeply covered. And no matter how loud the chaos has felt, it does not have the final word over your atmosphere. I do. I am the one who orders your steps. I am the one who prepares tables in the presence of what tries to intimidate you. And I am the one who delivers not just results, but reminders that you are chosen, carried, and equipped to stand. But you must stop agreeing with fear. You must stop meditating on scenarios that haven't happened and surrender your gaze to me. Because when you worry, your attention is removed from me and placed onto what you can't control. And that's exactly what the enemy wants: to drain your courage, exhaust your strength, and blur your spiritual vision just long enough that you start turning back. But don't. Don't retreat now. Don't shrink in this moment. Don't let the voice of fear drown out the voice of truth. I've come to awaken your awareness again. I'm pointing your eyes toward what's ahead, not what's imagined, but what's actually being built, shaped, and prepared for you even as you read this. You asked me to show you what's coming. You asked me to guide you. And I am. But you must clear the fog. You must take your thoughts captive. You must recognize that worry is not your protector, it's a distraction dressed in concern. I don't lead with torment. I lead with wisdom. I guide with peace. And I am guiding you right now. The blessing that's coming is not a rumor, it's a reality. But if you let worry lead, you'll overlook it, underestimate it, or walk away from it before it ever arrives. Don't let that happen. Refuse the bait. Step out of the mental battlefield and stand in the truth of my voice. Because what's coming won't just answer your prayer, it'll prove that the war in your mind was never about delay. It was about trying to block your view of the blessing that's already on the way. You were never designed to live in a cycle of imagining everything that could collapse. Your mind was not crafted to run simulations of fear, constantly projecting what might fall apart. That is not why I formed you. I didn't breathe life into your lungs so you could spend your days bracing for things I never authored. I shape you for truth. I knit you together with purpose, not panic. I placed my spirit within you so that your thoughts would echo my promises, not repeat the lies of anxiety. But somewhere along the way, you learned to rehearse worst-case endings like they were preparation. You called it being ready. You said you were just being cautious. But I'm telling you now, that isn't wisdom, it's torment in disguise. You weren't created to live with your heart clenched and your mind stuck in imaginary outcomes that don't align with my word. That's not your portion. That's not your inheritance. I created you to speak life, to proclaim what I've spoken, even before you see it unfold, to take hold of my truth with your mouth and silence the enemy's influence with your declarations. But instead, you've been giving voice to your fears, repeating them inside yourself until they feel real, more real than what I've said. You say you're waiting on a sign, but what you've been rehearsing with your thoughts is shaping what you're willing to see. Your expectation has been infected by fear. You've started expecting things to go wrong. You anticipate disappointment. You brace for pain. And while you think that mindset will protect you, it actually blocks the flow of faith. Because fear doesn't just sit quietly, it speaks. It influences. It teaches your heart to make room for what I never promised. And in doing so, it robs the authority I placed in your voice. But I'm calling you back to the truth. I'm reminding you that you were made in my image, and I create with my words. So do you. You have power when you speak. When you declare what I say, things shift. Atmospheres align. Strongholds weaken. Fear loses its grip. But that shift can't happen when you're using your voice to repeat the enemy's story instead of proclaiming mine. Right now, I'm asking you to make a holy trade. I want you to release the habit of rehearsing disaster and replace it with the practice of declaring destiny. When fear tells you you're not enough, speak what I say, that you are chosen, loved, set apart. When the enemy whispers that it's too late, say what I've declared, that I make all things new. When discouragement says the door is closed, repeat my promise that I open what no man can shut. You don't have to wait for everything to feel secure before you speak with authority. Your voice is powerful because it's rooted in me. Use it. Don't just think my truth, speak it. Let it become louder in your life than your fears ever were. That's how strongholds break. That's how clarity returns. That's how peace is restored, not by obsessing over what might go wrong, but by boldly declaring what I've already made right. This is the shift I'm leading you into. No more living on the defense. No more spiritual survival mode. No more cycles of fear disguised as caution. I'm raising you up to walk in the strength I placed in you. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are a vessel of my glory. And it's time your thoughts and your words reflect that. Stop letting worry narrate your life. Stop giving more airtime to dread than to my design. Choose to declare what heaven is saying even when earth looks different. That's what faith does. That's what trust looks like. It speaks as if the promise is already standing in front of you. Because in the Spirit, it is. The moment you align your words with my truth, you align your life with my will. So don't rehearse disaster anymore. Don't feed the voice of fear with your imagination. Start speaking my promises like they are the only forecast over your future, because they are. You keep returning to these imagined outcomes as if they were truth, scenes filled with disappointment, failure, rejection, and silence, as if somehow, if you expect the worst, you'll be better prepared when it comes. But child, I need you to understand something right now. I never wrote that version of your future. The story you've been playing on repeat in your heart, the one where things fall apart, where no one shows up, where you lose again, where nothing changes, that didn't come from me. That was never the plan I laid out when I breathed life into your soul. That was never the chapter I placed in your book when I crafted your destiny before the world knew your name. What you've been meditating on is fiction written by fear, shaped by pain, and whispered by the one who wants to keep you stuck in cycles of defeat. Every time you agree with those anxious thoughts, you're handing power to a storyline I never authored. And I won't let you keep rehearsing something that doesn't carry my signature. I don't lead by intimidation. I don't guide through hopeless predictions. I don't prepare you by making you dread what's coming. That's not me. My plans carry peace. My ways are laced with hope. My promises are rooted in love, not pressure. But the enemy knows if he can get you to imagine a version of the future that is dark and heavy, you'll start shrinking back in the present. You'll stop dreaming. You'll hesitate to obey. You will delay your yes. And slowly, you'll disconnect from the joy I've already placed around you. That's what worry does. It reaches into tomorrow and steals the energy you need for today. It convinces you to pre-live pain that may never happen. It tells you that expecting bad news is the only way to protect your heart. But that's a lie dressed in caution. And I want to break that mindset now. You weren't created to prepare for pain, you were created to carry purpose. You were designed to walk boldly into what I'm unfolding, not tiptoe around what fear suggests might appear. Yes, things won't always go as you plan. Yes, there will be moments that stretch you. But even then, I will be there, redeeming what the enemy meant for harm and righting every attempt to derail your story. My word never said you wouldn't face battles, but I promised you'd never face them alone. So stop imagining a life where you're abandoned, where I let you fall without catching you, where everything you hope for slips through your fingers. That's not your future, that's a distortion created by trauma, not truth. And every time you give attention to that false narrative, you pull yourself further from the faith I'm trying to cultivate within you. So here is what I want you to do. When those thoughts start forming, when those scenes begin to play out in your mind like a movie, pause, Don't just watch them unfold. Confront them. Ask them who sent you. Ask yourself, does this look like the God I know? Because if it leads you to despair, it's not from me. If it makes you question your worth, your place, your safety, it is not my voice. I don't give you visions to fear, I give you insight to build. I plant dreams to stir your spirit, not stir anxiety. You were made to carry promises, not predictions of ruin. I've already spoken over your future, and what I declared is good. It is filled with favor, breakthrough, transformation, restoration, and renewal. But I need you to stop giving attention to scripts I never wrote. Tear them up. Lay them down. Replace them with my truth. Let your imagination be sanctified again. Let your hope rise above the noise. Let your heart believe that what's ahead doesn't have to be feared, it can be anticipated. Because I go before you. I stand behind you. I walk beside you. And the future I've written for you is not one to dread, it's one to declare. You've been standing in front of what you don't understand, trying to measure your future through the lens of fear, as if what's ahead is something you need to survive instead of something you're being prepared to carry. But child, let me say this clearly, what's coming is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. I've been building something in the background, far beyond what your eyes have been able to see, and the size of your worry cannot compare to the scale of my plan. You've been staring at challenges like they're giants when in reality, they are nothing compared to the weight of glory that's about to be revealed in you. The very things that seemed overwhelming were never the main story, they were just distractions, placed in your path to test whether you'd believe the intimidation or trust the one who sent you. And right now, you're closer than you think to walking into a chapter that will redefine everything that came before it. I'm not just talking about comfort, I'm talking about transformation. I'm not simply sending relief, I'm releasing a reality that matches what I whispered to you in private. But here's what's been happening. Your mind has tried to reduce what I've promised to the size of what feels manageable. You've tried to scale it down to avoid disappointment. You've tried to contain it to avoid being let down again. But the truth is, my promise was never small, and no amount of fear can cancel what I'm about to unfold. You're not standing in front of a threat, you're standing on the edge of breakthrough. You're not facing destruction, you're standing at the entrance of destiny. The fear you've been feeling is a reaction, not a reality. The spiritual resistance around you has been louder lately because the weight of my goodness is beginning to press closer. The enemy always tries to stir panic when heaven is preparing to pour. You've felt the pressure not because you're in danger, but because you're being positioned. And the shaking you've experienced is not a sign of collapse, it's the sound of doors unlocking, foundations shifting, and strongholds being dismantled. Don't let fear tell you this is too big for you. You were chosen for this exact season. You were equipped for this exact battle. You were prepared in hidden places for what's about to be revealed in open ones. I didn't waste your tears. I didn't overlook your faithfulness. I didn't ignore the cost of your obedience. I've been storing it all, every prayer, every act of surrender, every quiet yes. And now, I'm pouring back what was sown in faith, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. But you must not shrink now. You must not let fear convince you to lower your expectations. Don't make agreements with voices that try to keep you small when I'm calling you to rise. Don't let the pain of your past teach you to fear your own future. I didn't bring you this far just to leave you standing in anxiety. I brought you here to launch you. I brought you here to establish you. I brought you here so that the very things that once tried to intimidate you would now be under your feet. You have more strength than you feel. You have more authority than you've realized. And what's coming is not the end, it's the overflow. This next season isn't going to crush you. It's going to crown you. So fix your eyes, steady your heart, and prepare to receive what only I could have orchestrated. It won't come in the way you expect it. It won't follow your mental script. But it will be greater, wider, deeper, fuller, more beautiful than what fear ever allowed you to imagine. Because I've never been intimidated by what scares you. and I've never needed your comfort zone to do something eternal. What's coming is bigger than the battles you fought, bigger than the losses you faced, and far bigger than anything fear tried to prepare you for. There's been a battle in your mind not because you're unworthy, but because you're dangerous to the darkness. The thoughts that have been whispering, "You're not enough, you've missed it, you're not ready," they didn't originate from your spirit, and they didn't come from me. They're fiery arrows aimed at your identity, hoping to convince you that you're disqualified before you ever step into what I've chosen for you. But hear me clearly. The reason your confidence has been under siege isn't because you lack purpose, it's because you carry it. And the louder the attack, the louder the evidence that what you carry threatens the kingdom of fear. You've believed too many of these thoughts without questioning where they came from. You've looked at your past, your flaws, your delays, and your limitations, and used them as proof that you're not capable. But I never required perfection to use someone. I've always looked for willingness. And you've been more prepared than you think. You've walked through fire and kept your faith intact. You've endured seasons where no one clapped for you, where no one understood the weight you were carrying, and you kept showing up anyway. That doesn't disqualify you. That proves you're ready. But instead of seeing that as strength, you've let doubt interpret it as weakness. That's the real attack, not on your situation, but on your sense of who you are. Because if the enemy can distort your self-image, he can keep you small even in seasons of enlargement. You'll begin to sabotage opportunities before they fully form. You'll talk yourself out of things I've already said yes to. And you'll assume that being overwhelmed means you're unequipped when in fact, it often means you're being expanded. The thoughts you've been fighting didn't find you by accident. They were assigned to keep you from realizing how close you are to stepping into what I've appointed. And that's why I need you to stop listening to them. You're not disqualified, you've been deceived. And I came to break that lie today. Look at me. I didn't choose you because of flawless execution. I chose you because I see the end from the beginning. I saw what others overlook. I saw the purity of your yes, even when you felt broken. I saw your hunger for me, even when your own voice shook. I see past your insecurities. I see past your history. And I still say you're mine. You are not the sum of your missteps, you are the result of my mercy. And I don't revoke callings because of conflict. I reinforce them with grace. So when the thoughts come again, and they will remind them who you belong to. Remind them what I said. Speak truth louder than the lies. No more agreeing with inner accusations. No more measuring your future by past wounds. No more holding back because of imagined disapproval. I approve you. I've anointed you. And my hand on your life is not easily removed. You are not underqualified, you're underestimated. Not by me, but by every voice that thought your story ended when you hit that last low. They didn't realize I was writing a resurrection. That the crying was preparation. That the delay was development. That the silence was setting the stage for a roar of redemption. And now, you're on the edge. The edge of stepping into spaces where your authority will be recognized, where your voice will carry healing, where your scars will turn into sentences that speak freedom to others. But to walk in it, you must silence the false narrative that says you're not ready. You are. Not because you feel it, but because I declared it. So take your eyes off your resume and place them back on the revelation I've given you. You're not what fear said. You're not what failure labeled. You are chosen, appointed, equipped, and called, and no thought, no person, no mistake can undo what I've written over your life. There hasn't been a single tear that slipped from your eyes without my notice. Not one quiet breakdown, not one hidden sigh, not one moment of silent desperation has gone unseen. You've been carrying weight behind your smile, holding pain beneath your strength, walking through days where it felt like no one truly knew what it cost you to keep going. But I knew. I've been there in the invisible moments, not watching from a distance, but standing beside you quietly, working on what you couldn't see. You assumed I wasn't moving because you couldn't measure change. But child, I've been moving the whole time, just not in the way you expected. I've been building the answer behind the curtain, constructing something far more complete than the quick relief you were hoping for. I'm not interested in patching holes. I'm rebuilding foundations. I'm not putting bandages on your wounds, I'm healing them at the root. But that kind of transformation requires a level of preparation that cannot always be broadcast to your senses. I've had to protect the process, because what I'm building is too significant to be exposed prematurely. If I had revealed everything at once, the enemy would have tried to intercept it, and you might have doubted it before it was ready. That's why it's been quiet. Not because I left, but because I was crafting what needed stillness to grow. You thought the silence meant absence. It didn't. It meant strategy. The delay wasn't punishment, it was protection. And now, piece by piece, you're about to see what I've been shaping in the shadows. You've been fighting a battle in public while I've been setting up your victory in private. I've been answering prayers you forgot you even whispered. I've been aligning the right people, clearing the wrong paths, shifting what needed to be removed, all so you wouldn't have to keep carrying this forever. You were never meant to fight this alone. And you haven't. While you've been pushing through what feels like darkness, I've been orchestrating light. I've been arranging breakthrough in ways your logic couldn't design. I didn't forget you. I didn't ignore the weight of your situation. I just love you too much to hand you a premature solution. Because you don't need a quick fix. You need a future that won't collapse under pressure. And that's what I've been constructing. You keep asking me to show you progress, but what I'm giving you is preservation. I'm saving you from what you didn't even know was forming behind the scenes. I'm resolving more than what you asked for because I see beyond the surface. You want the pain to stop, but I want the purpose to begin. You want the burden lifted, but I want your heart to be renewed. And I'm doing both. I'm handling the external and the internal at the same time. That's why it's taken time. Because I don't do half-finished healing. I don't give you halfway freedom. I complete what I start. And I've started something in you that's almost ready to be revealed. So I need you to stop assuming I've forgotten you just because you haven't seen the outcome yet. I haven't been still, I've been silent. And that silence is about to break. You'll begin to notice signs. Doors opening without force. Peace returning without explanation. Strength replacing what used to feel like survival. This is not coincidence. This is the unveiling of what I promised. You've been asking me to rescue you from the struggle, but I've been designing the rescue while you worship through the fire. And now, your surrender is colliding with my solution. Don't lose hope now. Don't shut down when you're this close. Don't mistake the quiet for distance. I've been in the background, working every angle, preparing the solution, and soon, you'll see I never left. I was saving the best part for the unveiling. You've been equating waiting with rejection, as if the absence of immediate results somehow means I've withdrawn my promise. But I need you to know this. Not receiving something now doesn't mean I've changed my mind. Delay is not the same as denial, and silence is not abandonment. What you're walking through is not a no from me, it's a holy pause. A sacred space between planting and harvest where the roots of your faith are being strengthened. You've been asking, why haven't you done it yet? But the real question isn't when it will happen, it's whether you'll keep trusting me when it hasn't yet. I'm not stalling to frustrate you. I'm pacing the process because there are layers unfolding that require precision. Timing in my kingdom is not just about when you're ready, it's about when everything around you is aligned. I'm not just preparing the answer, I'm preparing you to be able to handle it when it comes. There's growth happening inside of you right now that is invisible but vital. You don't see it, but it's happening in the unseen places of your character, your trust, your discernment, your resilience. I'm strengthening you to carry what you once only dreamed of. Because I don't release promises half-baked. I wait until the moment when receiving it will crush you, when the blessing will build you instead of overwhelm you. If I gave it to you prematurely, it would feel like pressure instead of provision. But when I release it in my perfect time, it will flow, not strain. It will fit, not force. You've been tempted to assume that delay means distance, But I've actually been drawing you closer through this process. I've been inviting you into a deeper level of dependence, where you trust not just what I can give but who I am. You've praised me in the past when you saw quick answers, but now I'm teaching you to praise me when it's quiet, when it's unclear, when the clock keeps ticking and nothing seems to move. That's not punishment. That's promotion. It's a deeper maturity I'm forming in you, a trust that isn't based on signs but on surrender. And when you learn to wait well, you grow in a way that no shortcut could ever offer. I know it's painful to wait. I know it stirs questions and stretches emotions. But trust me, what I'm setting up is worth every second of the suspense. You're not just being made ready, you're being positioned for something greater than you imagine. The connections that still need to form, the pieces still coming together, the people being prepared to walk alongside you, it's all part of it. You haven't missed it. You're not late. And no, it's not too far gone. You're right where I need you. Your posture in the waiting is shaping how you'll walk in the fulfillment. So stand. Don't collapse under the pressure. Don't let frustration change your confession. Keep declaring what I've said, even when it looks delayed. Because heaven hasn't said no, heaven is saying, almost. The shift is closer than you think. And while you're waiting, I'm working. I'm redeeming time. I'm healing places you didn't realize still needed wholeness. I'm breaking ties that would have hindered your next level. I'm preparing the platform for your arrival so that when I bring you into the fullness of what I promised, there will be no confusion about who did it. You won't have to manipulate the door. You won't have to beg for the opportunity. You'll walk into it and know, this was God, and it was worth the wait. So today, release the lie that says delay means I change my mind. My word hasn't shifted. My plan hasn't weakened. Delay is not denial, it's divine timing, and when you finally see what I've been building behind the scenes, you'll understand why I asked you to trust me a little longer. What you're feeling right now, the heaviness, the pressure, the restlessness that you can't quite explain, it's not a sign of failure. It's not a sign that you've lost your way. It's evidence that you're approaching something bigger than your current understanding can hold. The spiritual atmosphere always tightens before significant release. The weight you've been sensing isn't there to crush you, it's there to stretch you, to make room for what's about to be poured in. You've been interpreting this stress as a problem, but it's actually a transition. You are shifting from one level to another, and that stretch often masquerades as discomfort. But lean in. Don't run from it. You're not being buried, you're being pressed into breakthrough. The ground beneath you isn't unstable, it's stirring with movement. You're not unraveling, you're expanding. And that tension inside of you is a holy indicator that the season is shifting. I know you've been questioning everything lately. The mental weight has been loud. The emotions have been layered. You've wondered if you're doing something wrong simply because it's been hard to breathe. But this isn't a punishment, it's preparation. I've been enlarging your capacity, quietly behind the scenes, so that what I place in your hands next won't crush your spirit. What you carry matters too much for me to let you step into it without first refining your inner foundation. The assignment I've placed over your life requires resilience, clarity, and sensitivity that can only be shaped in the pressure you've been walking through. The stress, the tears, the restless nights, they're not random. They are symptoms of the spiritual weight increasing around you. You're not tired because you're weak, you're tired because you've been faithful. And now your soul is catching up to what your spirit already knows. Something is about to shift. You've grown in silence. You've matured through testing. And now the pressure is signaling that the barrier between where you are and where you're going is about to break. You're not in a breakdown, you're in a build-up. And I'm not going to let that stress define you. I'm going to use it to sharpen you, to recenter you, to bring you back to the core of what matters most, my voice, my presence, and my unfailing promise. Do not give that stress more authority than it deserves. It's real, yes, but it's not in charge. It doesn't get to decide your direction. It doesn't get to write your next chapter. It doesn't have access to the throne room. and it certainly doesn't override what I've already spoken over your life. What you're walking through may be uncomfortable, but it is not purposeless. You are not walking in circles, you are being carved into someone who can sustain the weight of answered prayer. The resistance is a clue. The warfare is a clue. The mental fatigue is a clue. They all point to proximity. You are closer to crossing over than you've ever been. This is not a time to pull back. This is not a time to abandon what I told you in the quiet. This is a time to anchor deeper into me and let me show you how to carry what's next with peace. The stress is not your enemy, it's your indicator. And now that you know what it truly is, you can stop fearing it and start stewarding it. I'm lifting the lie that says your stress is proof you're not strong enough. No, child. Your stress is proof that something powerful is pressing against the barriers of your current season, getting ready to break through. And when it does, you will see that everything you've endured, every internal battle, every confusing day, was pointing to this moment. You are on the edge of something sacred. Don't turn around. The pressure means the promise is near. Stand firm. What's coming is holy. You've been exhausting yourself trying to predict, plan, and piece together what's ahead, but I never asked you to carry the blueprint. I asked you to trust the builder. You don't need every answer today. You don't need every timeline, every connection, every explanation to be laid out before you take another step. The desire for clarity isn't wrong, but when it replaces your reliance on me, it becomes a distraction. I know it's hard to walk without knowing. I know it's difficult to wait without seeing. But I never promised you would understand everything in advance. I promised I would go before you. And right now, I'm leading you through unfamiliar ground, not to confuse you, but to develop something deeper than your sight, your ability to stay aligned with my voice, even when the path feels hidden. I'm teaching you how to move by faith, not formula. To walk by my presence, not by projections. To lean into me and not lean on your assumptions. The temptation you're facing now is to disconnect just because things aren't unfolding the way you thought. But that temptation is trying to pull you off track from what's forming. You think you need more information, but what you really need is more intimacy. More stillness with me. More silence in your soul so you can hear the whisper again. I know you want to see the whole road, but if I showed you everything at once, you'd try to skip steps that are essential to your preparation. I'm not hiding things to punish you, I'm withholding them to protect you. Because if you build your faith only on facts, you'll collapse when things don't make sense. But if you build it on my voice, you'll stand firm even when the terrain changes. You've been asking me to confirm the next step, but I'm asking you to confirm your focus. Are your eyes still locked on me, or have they drifted to the circumstances? Have you become more committed to chasing clarity than to following my character? I don't need you to have it all figured out. I need your heart steady in surrender. Because alignment brings acceleration. When your posture is one of faith, even without details, I can move faster on your behalf. I can shift situations, open doors, and align resources that would never respond to fear or worry. But if you try to micromanage what I've already authored, you'll delay the very thing you're praying for. There's a reason I'm only giving you glimpses. I'm inviting you to walk with me moment by moment. To wake up and ask me again, "What now, Lord?" To lean in with humility, not just strategy. This journey is not about controlling outcomes, it's about cultivating closeness. I'm more interested in forming who you're becoming than perfecting your understanding of every event. And when you stay close to me, the path becomes clearer as you walk, not before. I light the way one step at a time so you stay dependent, not distant. That's how I keep your heart soft. That's how I protect you from pride, from prayer, and from performing for a future I already finished for you. To release the burden of knowing everything. Lay down the pressure to predict the path. Come back to me not to get another answer, but to get realigned with my heart. That's where your peace is. That's where your power comes from. Not from understanding the future, but from trusting the one who holds it. I'm not asking you to be the architect. I'm asking you to walk with the author. And as you keep in step with me, Even the pieces that seem out of place now will begin to make sense later. You don't need every detail, you just need every step to be with me. And if you stay aligned, I will take care of what you cannot yet see. I will not let you miss what I've written for you. Stay with me. Stay steady. I'm leading you exactly where you need to be. Amen.